Aaron Rodgers threw the ball. Did anything stand out to you at all?
Like the intended receiver, or the where on the field?
Where on the field?
I mean, in my head, it feels like a lot of them were to the left.
All of them.
Okay.
I
don't have that data.
He only threw to the middle of the field with the left. He did not attempt one pass to the right.
Okay.
That's weird.
That's interesting because I didn't think about it until you asked it to me, and then as I was reliving the game, I thought everything went Wilson this way, Lazard this way. It was all over here.
All to the left.
So I wonder why he's not. Why would he not want to throw?
Which is a righty, you typically look out to the right. And what's interesting is Tyrod came in and threw 5 passes to the right, which is much more typical than a right-hander, and he threw 0 passes to the left.
I wonder if that's an anomaly or if there's anything.
It's got to be an anomaly, but it was just a very, very strange thing to see. I also, one of the things that stood out from that broadcast to me was Chris Jones was so football smart, and it was really fun listening to him with Eli and Peyton especially. But there had been the play earlier in the game where Rodgers got them to draw on offsides, and he threw the touchdown, and they put the graphic up on the game, and maybe Jones was watching it, and that's where he got it. But the way he talked about it, it felt like he had been told this over and over again by Andy Reid, which was that, Rodgers leads the league in, I think, completions, yards, and touchdowns on free plays in the end, like for the last whatever number of years.
Yep.
And he just casually dropped it. He goes, you can never jump offsides against Rodgers. He throws a touchdown every time. He's like, you can't do it. He's the best in the league at it.
Yeah. No, he blew me away. That was fun. I really liked. I thought they had a good mix from all three of them. I think it's clunky sometimes on the back and forth and the scripted stuff, but I do think that it was the guys like yesterday was good. Oh, I was going to bring this up. I think the Jets are real too. I think they're very real. I think they're only going to get better with Rodgers. I think they've got weapons. Garrett Wilson was incredible in the first half, then they lost their way in the second. I feel like he was really upset. Like I think he went up 6 for 60 on like 11 targets. But like
4 catches came on one drive.
Yeah, on the one drive, and it was like they kind of went away from it. So I don't know what happened there. I'm sure Rodgers was pissed off he didn't get the audible. Who knows? But I think the Jets are here to stay. Like they look very good. Rodgers looks very good to me. They look like a playoff team.
It just tells you to me how good the 49ers
That's
are.
my point.
That they kind of physically dominated them up front. That's a good defensive front, and they dominated them.
I think they will do that to a lot of people.
Well, if you remember, it didn't hold true last year because the Browns went and beat the Colts after beating the Niners. But in 2022, in the 2022 season, the team that played the Niners lost the following week every week of the season.
Yeah. Just because you take a beating.
Because you takes a
full
physical toll.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, love the. I love that you deemed them. Was it Irv sleeves or playmaker sleeves?
Yeah, it looked like they were the playmaker.
So if you know what we're talking about, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, they had the floppy sleeves.
Yeah,
like, I haven't seen floppy sleeves forever, but I loved it as soon as I
did
saw
like
it.
A triple take. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, oh, that's sweet.
You're gonna have
that's so old school.
You will have players
copy that.
Sauce and Garrett Wilson doing it. That will be copied throughout college football next weekend. My guess is if you're a high school player on Friday night, all of the jerseys now have like rubber bands, elastic. I bet you see a lot of them get cut so that they flop. It's a cool look.
He looks like the playmaker.
Yeah,
it's always been the playmaker when he's doing his big first down.
Very cool. Very, very cool on that side of things. All right, back to our neck of the woods. Numerous reports had the Browns signing former Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney
to the practice
squad. That transaction won't come out until 4 o'clock. He has really high-end athleticism.
Totally.
I wonder if in the kick game.
I get him in as a returner, 10 yards a punt for his career. Now, Jalen Darden did a great job, but what Kadarius Toney gives you that maybe Darden doesn't is that he's a guy you can have on the field and run jet sweeps and jet motions and just try to get him the ball in space so he would be kind of fill 2 purposes in one roster spot if he shows enough to get elevated.
ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. The Browns hosting several tight ends for free agent visits and workouts, including Irv Smith, Tommy Sweeney, and Jeff Swaim.
So
on that.
Irv Smith, and I'm going to go ahead and quadruple check this, but off the top of my head, I think Irv Smith played with Kevin in Minnesota. Yeah, he was a second-round pick in 2019. He has ties was with the Bengals last year. It was kind of disappointing, honestly, last year with the Bengals, but I think Irv Smith feels like he could make a lot of sense. Swain, if I recall correctly, Jeff Swaim is more of a blocker than a pass catcher at tight end, which they've got a pass catcher already in Akins. Swaim's been around for a long time, though. Had 2 seasons over 100 yards receiving. He's got 846 for his career, averaging 7.7 yards a catch. But he's a big blocking guy, 6'4", 260.
Mary Kay confirming a national report that the Browns have signed linebacker Kalike Hudson off of the Saints practice squad as well.
Well, we know that Tony Fields and Mahmoud Diabate both injured. Hudson was a 5th-round pick of the Washington football team in 2020 out of Michigan. He has played with Washington for the last 3 seasons, started 8 games for them last year, a career-high 74 tackles, 5 tackles for loss. So this is a guy who's played quite a bit. 1 game with New Orleans this year, and I think he just was on special teams maybe.
All right, there you go on that side of things. Also, in the world of entertainment, the loss last night of James Earl Jones.
Thulsa Doom, Darth Vader.
So great that you dropped that first. Because if you're our age, he was so
Thulsa Doom was terrifying.
Terrifying.
He was great. My buddy Jake the Barbarian.
Conan the Barbarian, of course, is what we're referencing here. Yeah,
Jake the Barbarian from the Brylow golf outing, and a fine man. He, on his Instagram, posted an RIP with a picture of him in full Thulsa Doom regalia, and I was like, this is awesome.
Did you know right away that he was Darth Vader, the voice?
Like as a kid?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was
idea.
computer or robotic generated.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was James Earl Jones.
No idea.
I've said this before. One of the great robberies that happened to my kids was knowing that Darth Vader was Luke's father before it being revealed.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest misses.
It's terrible.
Because you can't properly explain, if you're our age, how terrifying Darth Vader was.
Oh, my God.
In the original Star Wars.
Yeah, and then he gives him, I'm your father. Like,
and then at the end of Empire, you get that, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
So all of that was robbed of them.
Which is so sad. Yeah,
it's totally
He was great. I mean,
Sandlot, Coming to America, Field of Dreams.
Yeah. Coming to America. He was so not really supporting his son's love in any way, shape, or form.
My son works.
He was not pleased with McDowell's. He did not like McDowell's setup one bit.
No.
Not one bit.
Well, he got very mad. Arsenio took the brunt of
Simi. Yeah, he did.
Simi was...
He's living his best life at times. I don't blame him. He's pretty
good.
I just watched that.
How could you?
With the oldest, watched part of it, and he's like, Dad, what is going on? And I'm like, this was great. This is great. It's great.
It's just great.
Yeah, it's just great. I don't know what to tell you. It's just very, very great. He was also very good. I feel like he was in like Hunt for Red October, like some of those CIA movies from the late 80s, early 90s.
He just has
it's great in everything.
He has a gravitas.
He does.
About him.
93, so a life full lived. Browns fans, check out Vivid Seats official fan experience packages for this season's home games. When you purchase seats in the Vivid Seats Terrace experience, you're also going to score pregame field passes, all-inclusive food and beverage and more. Visit vividseats.com today to learn more on that. One thought from every NFL game this weekend coming up next. We're off and running. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Leaf Filter, the official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. Go to leaffilter.com/Browns to schedule your free gutter inspection and receive your exclusive promo offer. That's leaffilter.com/GoBrowns. Visit today. The NFL with a statement on the Deshaun Watson report from yesterday. We are reviewing the complaint and will look into the matter under the personal conduct policy, not looking at commissioner's exempt list as there has been no formal charges and the league's review has just begun. So that is we talked about that off the top of the show. The NFL has issued that statement on the matter. So there you go.
Yep.
All right, time to go. One thought on every NFL game this weekend. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen, a busy, busy day here, so let's get right down to it. One thought. One, Zagura. One.
I don't know if I can do that.
One.
One.
I don't know.
One.
All right, go.
Brazil, Friday night. Eagles 34, Packers 29.
Which one of us?
Bo, go ahead.
I'll take the Eagles side of it because I know you were big on the Packers. Saquon Barkley went to the right spot. Running quarterback, weapons everywhere. It's the perfect
Good
spot
line.
for him. Good line, you're right. Great line. Good scheme. I don't think he's going to do that every week, but I think he's going to have a monster season in Philly.
Zagura.
It could get ugly for the Packers in the next couple of weeks.
Got to stay afloat.
And I don't know if they're going to be able to. You know, you lose Jordan Love. Jordan Love, to me, is absolutely the real deal. Malik Willis coming in, that is going to – I think they're going to lean on Josh Jacobs. I could see Josh Jacobs getting 50 carries in this next game. I'm being facetious, but not really. The good news for them is they get the Colts at home,
Okay.
at Titans,
Okay.
home for the Vikings. And supposedly Love could be back in that stretch. But worst case scenario, you should be 2-2 right there. If you can get a win against the Colts, you're 3-1 and you're right where you need to be. But it's going to be a big game with the Colts.
Yep.
I believe on this program last Thursday I told you Packers won't make the playoffs.
You did.
Well,
You did. We'll see.
Injuries
we'll see.
are that's.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's okay.
That's
By the way,
it doesn't
that was
matter
my
as long as
MVP.
it happens.
That was
then
my
I'm great.
MVP.
Then I'm good.
If you are a wagering sort, them to not make the playoffs is a pretty good buy right now because I think, or them to make the playoffs there's good value.
We'll actually get to that in higher or lower.
Oh,
Thanks to
oh,
Gabe. He
oh.
found some good stuff
The
on the
G-Man thought of it. Good job, G.
Zagura,
man.
you're up next. We go to Sunday. Squealers 18, Falcons 10. One thought.
I mean, a gross game. Steelers win with 6 field goals. Chris Boswell should be the player of the week. I said that before. I thought, Justin Fields was efficient. It wasn't anything pretty. 23 completions, 156 yards, or 17 to 23, 156 yards. But their defense is so good. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith together are just a very, very dangerous combination. They're around the quarterback all the time. They had 7 quarterback hits in the game. It's just what the Steelers do. And I thought the real big thought, though, is that Kirk Cousins looked
Well, that's
awful.
two thoughts.
I'm sorry. I told you I wasn't able to do it.
I'll do the Kirk Cousins side of it. Kirk Cousins looked awful. Their approach was awful. They weren't dangerous in any way. They did not lose London or Pitts, which I did not see coming. The most concerning thing, though, to me, was when you're watching the game, there were several instances where he grimaced as he threw. And it was like he was having to put everything he had into every throw. And I don't know if that's plant foot not being right, not trusting, who knows. It just looked bad. And that was the most alarmist thing to me.
If I would have told you before this game that Ray McLeod would have more targets than Drake London and Kyle Pitts combined, you would have smacked me, and justifiably so, and yet that is what happened.
I talked
I'm
to
pretty sure Ray
Orlando.
was lined up in the backfield.
I think, yeah. Well, I talked to Orlando this in August, and he said all he's doing is throwing to Pitts and London.
Yep.
Like Pitts, and
Yep.
they did not. So that's
Not at all.
Yeah.
Up next, Bishop lead us off. The Buffalo Bills holding off the Arizona Cardinals 34-28.
I'll take the Arizona side of this. They're going to be frisky. They left a lot out on the field. I thought that probably was a pass interference call late that they could have gotten. They are going to be a frisky team to play. Kyler looks good. He still has all the issues he always has because of his size in terms of not seeing the middle of the field, but they got creative with him. They'll get Marv going. They're going to be a frisky team.
He needs more than 3 targets. I mean,
That was a joke.
he had 3 targets. Greg Dortch had 8. And I know they love McBride. McBride, they think, is like a Kelsey. He had 9, but he's got to have more than 3 targets. He's Martin Harrison Jr. Buffalo side, it's just that their roster is down. They are not as good as they have been in recent memory. but Josh Allen is a force, and his ability to get the ball into the end zone is incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing.
It's kind of malfeasant. Like Hollywood Brown should have signed Hollywood Brown just to give them. If you had a
because Shakur was all right. He gave him a little something.
yeah, Coleman's good. Keon Coleman had 4 for 51 on 5 targets. Yeah, Coleman was good. But Josh Allen is just a stud. His will, he's such a competitor, and he's such a dangerous player, not only with his arm, but with his legs. He finished with 2 rushing touchdowns in the game.
Next, Patriots in the stunner of the day take down the Bengals 16-10. Zagura, one thought.
So I've seen a lot of kind of exposition on what happened with Joe Burrow in this game, and he was 21 of 29 for 164 yards.
Yep.
I mean, that is not his way. Number one, no T. Higgins. We can acknowledge that. Number two, Burton didn't even did he even dress? Was he inactive? He did not.
I guess I didn't notice it. They were on one of 2 screens.
Not enough Chase Brown either.
No.
But Burrow looks to me like someone who wants to be in shotgun and dink and dunk and get it out. He was not looking down the field, let alone taking shots down the field. He wasn't even looking down the field, and that's not what – I don't think that's what he – it's certainly not what he was or who he needs to be for that football team. They've got to be – that should be an explosive offense even without T. Higgins.
Yeah.
And it was certainly not.
From the New England side, Ramondre looked good. You talked about him last week, kind of being their only guy. He ran it with authority, was strong. They played hard for Jared Mayo, very hard. And it's a really nice win for them. I think it's going to be counterproductive to what they need to do long term. But at the same time, you get that first win, you get the Gatorade bath. Good job out of you.
One just follow-up to buttress my point, so it's not a second observation. It's just one. It's just a fact. From a clean pocket against New England, Joe Burrow's average depth of target was 4.5 yards.
Yeah.
What is going on?
It's wild.
I don't know. Maybe he's just so worried about taking hits that he's just
trying
to get it out.
He threw 22 passes within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage and 6 more than 10 yards down the field.
I don't know. It was bad.
Up next to the NFC, the Vikings 28, Giants 6, Bishop.
Could it be true that in the short term, no one is better than preparing a quarterback to play right away than Kevin O'Connell? You think about what he did with Josh Dobbs last year in a pinch. They've obviously known about Darnold for a while, and I know Kyle was big on him in San Francisco. They liked him a lot. Darnold was amazing. He was amazing in this game. Now, the Giants suck, but O'Connell gets quarterbacks ready. He really does.
Real quickly, let me jump in here. I have a statement from a Brown spokesperson. Quote, "We will respect the due process our legal system affords regarding the recently filed civil suit and follow the NFL's guidelines on this matter." End quote.
There you go.
So there it is.
Okay.
Giants thought?
Dreadful uniforms.
Awful.
They were close to really good. I think
worst.
you just didn't need to wear the pants.
Pants were
I think
terrible.
if you worn white pants, it would have
Fine.
been fine, but the pants is what really
Dreadful uniforms, dreadful quarterback play. We potentially already have a mutiny on our hands. Did you see Malik Neighbors being said, I don't even know what's going on there with the quarterback? They could be – this could be a new regime headed for the number 1 pick. And quite frankly, after the Hard Knocks offseason, it kind of feels like if that was my billions,
there's a
I would
house
be like,
cleaning
let's
coming.
go ahead and
Can you guys
start over.
believe that the Giants have a situation where their players have to walk through fans to get to their cars?
I was going there next. Have you seen the video of Daniel
Yes.
Jones walking through the parking lot?
So he comes out of like a
It's
tunnel, and then
amazing.
it's like a barricade, like a waist-high barricade, but there are fans lining it, like yelling at him.
I'm pretty sure that's how it is at our stadium as well.
It's that way?
Yeah, they come
Like,
out.
they gotta
they
be
get
like-
carted over with security, but you have to cross
But
that
don't
street
they-
to get to the lot.
Okay, so they have to go.
You could hear people.
It's crazy.
I don't know. The amount of things being said were comical, and also I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Sit on that pile of money, Daniel Jones, because that's about all you're ever going to get.
160 takes a lot to spend.
Yep.
160.
Zagura, Bears 24, Titans 17.
Brian Callahan's quote, at one point this game was 17-0 Titans.
Yep.
Yes.
And he said if we just would have punted on first down the rest of the game, we probably win it. They did not. Levis back-breaking pick sixes. The Bears, if you're a Bears fan, you say this was probably as bad as we could be offensively, and we won.
That's what I was going to say.
So, but that was just Will Levis looked. Some of the decisions were just wild.
This was the type of win you have to have if you're Chicago and you're going to make the postseason.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
So they had to have it, and they did in an ugly fashion. They'll be better.
Up next, Bishop. Saints 47, Panthers 10.
I actually thought Carolina could win this game. Just, there's usually one game every week. I said it, one of the dumbest takes of all time.
Frisky.
Yeah, no, not frisky at all. Broken franchise. There's no scenario where they have any success this year, and you probably now have to pivot off of Bryce Young for next year and realize that you're going to be drafting at the top of the draft again, and the good news is you'll actually be able to use your pick on Quinn Ewers or Shedeur Sanders or whoever you want. And my lesson would be have ownership stay out of it. And that's going to be tough for that guy.
Sanders wouldn't go there, according to his father.
We'll
see. Their press conferences now, can I just say, are like...
It's Colorado's?
Yes.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
It's...
I told you what was happening. It was a 2-year deal.
But it's become... It's like...
Yeah, it's bad.
It's real bad.
Bad stuff. And the crazy thing is it's such a small media contingent covering them. Like, there aren't that many people covering Colorado football.
Well, no.
And there's probably no more than 5 or 6 people in every press conference.
They're dreadful.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the story of the day happened before kickoff, but the Dolphins able to eliminate the distractions and beat the team that we will face this Sunday. Dolphins 20, Jags 17. Zagura, one thought.
The only team in the league with 200-yard receivers in week one. They still got it. Waddle, 5 targets, 5 catches, 109 yards. That's 21.8. Tyreek, 7 for 130 and a touchdown. Probably could have had 200 and 2 touchdowns, but was just missed on one. Mike McDaniel, like Kyle, like Kevin O'Connell in some ways, but those two in particular, they just make it so easy, and their quarterbacks are so perfect for what they're trying to do with them that they always are fast starters. Just another very impressive game from the Dolphins, and a game that they were kind of behind, out of sorts, and came back and got a huge win thanks to a very timely and costly Travis Etienne fumble going into the end zone. Well, and then the next play was 80 the other way.
They were both these teams are good. Jacksonville is good. They're going to be a full day for us. Lawrence made some throws in this one that you went, oh, that's the guy that we thought he would be. So they're legitimate for sure. And Miami won while playing like their C-plus game.
Yep.
And that tells you you're good.
By the way, as good as it's Jags-Browns, pretty good Week 2 matchup.
It's a very good matchup, and it's a very important matchup.
Would you like to know our announcing team for CBS?
It should be. Yeah, I don't know if it's Charles and Ian.
No, it's
but
definitely
it should
not
be
that,
like the third team.
I think it's more 4th or 5th team. There's 10 games in the early window.
How about the CBS 7th team?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Chris Lewis, Jason McCourty, Amanda Guerrero.
Yeah. Huh. I think nationally, it's probably one of the least attractive Week 1 games.
Right, so you've got, let's just go
through Week 2 games.
The 1 o'clock.
Hold on, we got to get through all of these.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Save that.
We'll get back to it.
Go ahead. Next.
Texans 29, Colts 27. Yellowstone goes to 0-1. Bishop, one thought.
Stroud's awesome. They're real. He made 2 throws on 3rd down that are absolutely ridiculous. It wasn't as close as 29-27. They were up 9, and Indy got a late touchdown to make it 29-27. Houston is real. Very real.
Anthony Richardson made the most impressive throw that I've seen in a long time in this game.
Yep.
Basically picked the ball up off the ground, shuffled to his left and back, and launched it 70 yards
as
in the
people
air,
are at his feet.
all around him.
Yeah, it was.
It was insane. If he can ever become reasonably accurate consistently, they will be a handful to deal with.
He reminds me very much of Cam Newton when he came in.
Yes, but Cam got reasonably accurate
for a little while. He did, yeah. So hopefully, if he can get there, then all Cam did is win the MVP and take the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen. Los Angeles, the Chargers 22, the Raiders 10. Zagura, one thought.
So didn't get to see much of this.
It was a great fight.
Good fight.
Like haymaker fight.
I think probably.
So I watched this game.
Yeah.
It was on the second screen while we were primary. This is everything that Harbaugh gets you. They're going to punch you in the mouth. They're going to play great defense. They are going to put you in advantageous spots on 3rd and short, and that's what they did. They were up, I think, 9-7 at half, and they just kept pulling away, kept plugging away. This is why we said this was the easiest pick of the week.
Yep.
This was the thing I was most sure of, is that they would beat the Raiders.
Yep, and they did. Great to see J.K. Dobbins looking spry again.
Yep.
Bishop, Seattle 26, Broncos 20.
It's funny how you have perception versus reality. So I heard Rich Eisen, who we love, and we've had Rich on the show, saying it's hard to be more impressed than you were with Bo Nix in a debut. And then you realize Bo Nix threw it 40-some times and had less than 150 yards passing.
He averaged 3.3 yards an attempt and threw 2 picks.
I know. Everything was dink-duck, underneath.
What was he impressed by?
He got off to a decent start, but then it fluttered pretty quickly. It's going to be a long season in Denver.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're bad.
They're bad. My big takeaway is Jackson Smith and Jigba, 2 targets, 2 catches, 19 yards on the opening drive, and then didn't see another target in the game. What's the deal? What's going on?
Strange.
Just since he got to the league, inconsistent.
Also, we have to acknowledge the fact that this was a very rare game that I believe I have it right, featured 2 safeties by the Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos had 2 safeties in this game. Yep.
That doesn't happen very often.
Zagura, this one starts with you. Tampa Bay 37, Commies 20. Commies releasing Cade York after he missed 2 field goals.
Which means the Browns will not get a 7th-round pick. He just needed to be on the roster for 2 games. He went 0 for 2, and you got to feel like, unfortunately for Cade York, that's probably the end of the line, right?
Yeah, you had the great talk with him in camp, and you're rooting for the kid, but there's obviously
when it matters.
There's a block.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah, there is when it comes to games.
It's unfortunate. My big takeaway is that Baker was phenomenal, 24-30, 289, 4 touchdowns. Godwin, White, Evans, all the principal players had very good games for Tampa Bay, and they look good, and he's playing with a lot of confidence, and this was really not a competitive game at any point in the game.
No, and they just kept scoring too, like Tampa did.
They put 14 in the 4th quarter in a game that was well out of reach at that point. But thought they looked sharp, and right now, I still think Atlanta is better than what we saw from them, but Atlanta should have kept pace, and right now they're atop the division.
Next, Bishop, Sunday Night Football. This is the last one since we talked Monday night already. Lions 26, Rams 20 in overtime.
2 really, really good teams. Both these teams I have in the playoffs. Detroit I could see in the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are going to be a problem for a lot of people. As Siciliano said here yesterday, playing without 4 of their 5 starters on the offensive front, and they still manufactured things. We've often said and reminded people of how much Matthew Stafford is beloved amongst players and coaches. What you saw on Sunday night is why.
Yep.
He stands in there. He takes punch after punch and keeps trying and throwing and slinging it, and is elite. He's everything you'd want in a quarterback. But I think the big takeaway is Detroit won despite that. Despite not being at their best, they still won. And all of a sudden they unlocked Jamison Williams. Remember, they didn't have that last year. He didn't give them much.
No. I think didn't he miss the first 6?
I don't know. He's missed so much. But
now
but you add him to Amon St. Brown and
Laporta
and Gibbs. Yeah, they got a lot of weapons.
They're good, and that corner they drafted was very good.
Yeah.
Arnold.
Yeah. And also, we talked about this, like the fact that their jerseys might camouflage in with their
totally. I think it's definitely
good.
In play.
It certainly feels like it is. All right, there it is. One thought around the league. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
McLeod's ready. You're up.
For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Oak's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Now from the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today. For the ultimate game day, here is Rodney McLeod.
Hey, Rodney.
You're down. 4 minutes.
Myles Garrett, after the game, cited a lack of communication on the part of, I guess he was talking about on the part of the players while they were on the field. I'm not really sure, but just wondering, in your view, what was going wrong on defense, and if there were communication issues, how can you guys get those corrected?
I think he may be speaking to one play in particular on the touchdown, the first touchdown. I believe more so. There's just a communication issue, but it's very fixable. Of course, we understand that communication is paramount, and it will make or break a game. It affects the outcome, and so we're understanding that communication has to be very sound, making sure everybody gets it. And like I said, we were able to look at the film today, be honest with ourselves on what took place. But yeah, there was that. There was also, some other errors in there that we had defensively. First game, first time, all being present. So you had to understand some of that was going to take place. But like I said, we're focused on how we can continue to improve and prepare and be ready for next week.
And then you've been around for so long, but how do you get guys not to overreact to one loss, especially when it's the opener?
Yeah, I think understanding that there are 16 games left, but quite frankly, those are only games that were promised. And so, yeah, we wanted to have a better outing yesterday as a team. We fell short of victory, but this is something for us to not necessarily hang our heads down about, or be discouraged or think any less of ourselves. It's more of a self-reflection day. Let's look ourselves in the mirror, figure out what went wrong, what contributed to that outcome, and how we can ensure that those things don't take place again, as we proceed into week 2. And we go throughout, these remaining 16 games.
Hey, Rodney, you obviously have so much experience in this defensive system, and Jim has talked with us about, because of the aggressiveness of it, sometimes you can be prone to giving up those chunk plays. I guess, so what is the antidote to that in this system for you guys as a defense?
For us, it's all about just, eliminating explosives, rush and cover work hand in hand. We rely on our engine. That's who we identify as our D-line, to apply pressure up front, make quarterbacks uncomfortable. And then for us in the back end, playing tight coverage that don't necessarily allow for those explosives to take place, and everybody just being in the right spot at the right time, and trusting one another. So, for us, it's just, making sure all three levels are playing on one accord. We're locked in, and that, our engine will drive us.
Rodney, I know it's a team game and you focus on when you're out there, you have a job to do, but just in that first half, those short offensive series, I think there were 7 consecutive short offensive series, 3 or fewer plays. Just what impact did that have on you guys? Was there a cumulative effect that from, not getting a lot of time on the sideline between series?
No excuses. For us, our job is to defend every blade of grass, protect our end zone, and defend it accordingly. And whatever the job is assigned to us, that's what we have to do. And so that's our approach every time we take the field. We control what we can control. And so what we have full control of is, them crossing our end zone. And, they did that twice yesterday. Twice too many. And we know, what led to that. And so, we'll continue to just work through and look at the film and evaluate how we can prevent those 2 touchdowns from occurring.
All right, coming up next, second hour of the program, including Upon Further Review. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Let me ask you, ready to give your home the facelift it deserves at Renew Home Exteriors? They've got the deal you've been waiting for. Right now, no money down and get 0% interest for 5 years on all roofing and siding jobs. Combine your roofing and siding projects, and Renew will take an additional 5% off. That's right, no money down, 0% interest for 5 years, and 5% off when you knock out both jobs together. Don't wait. Upgrade your home and save big with Renew Home Exteriors. Visit RenewEstimate.com to book today. Renew Home Exteriors, superior products and superior service. Time for After Further Review, and for that we bring on Dr. Z.
All right, the reality, not a ton to get into in terms of further review, finding a lot of positives in the game, but I will do a couple of them, and we'll start on the offensive side of the ball, and here's where it was a little harder to find, but I will say that I thought Wyatt Teller played a very good game. And I thought Jerry Jeudy looked good, running his routes. I thought caught the touchdown, had one ball dislodged on a bang-bang play. But I thought in terms of kind of the skill guys, Jeudy probably had the best performance of the Cleveland Browns. You want to see more of him. Now, after further review, one thing that needs to change is I got to see more Deontay Foreman. Deontay Foreman has got to be, as opposed to none, yes. He's got to be a part of what we do running the football, because this team – on first down still too often has no gain or negative runs. And Jerome Ford is very good and very talented, and he's competing, and he can catch the ball in the backfield and all of that. But I think we need to see on some early downs also still getting some runs in there with Deontay Foreman to get us into some 2nd and 7s and 2nd and 6s. Those are fine. Doesn't need to be a first down run, but you need to at least pick up some yards there. And so I thought that's something I would like to see offensively. Defensively, after further review, I liked a lot of the things I saw, actually. I thought this defense gave a winning performance overall, and upon going back to it, held them to 4 of 14 on third downs. Some guys who I thought had great games, and I'm not going to say the obvious in Myles Garrett, but I really thought Juan Thornhill had a nice game and was flying around the field. I think he had 9 tackles at the end of the day in this game. You could tell, I thought his speed was different than it was a year ago when he was dealing with that calf injury, and I think that will be a very good thing on the back end of the defense for the Browns. Yeah, he had 9 tackles and a tackle for a loss. Denzel, 3 passes defensed in this one. I thought he did a great job getting his hands on the football. On the one that he was beaten down the sideline by CeeDee Lamb, he actually had great coverage. It was just sometimes a perfect throw beats even perfect coverage, and that's exactly what happened on that one. Jordan Hicks, I thought, brought something as the Mike linebacker in his blitz. I thought Delpit had a nice game as well. And Zadarius Smith, off of the edge, made some very, very good plays, got a sack, and looks much like Thornhill, looks to me to be a little bit healthier than he was a year ago, and so that was good to see. Got to clean up the miscommunications. Can't have a third down where everybody's playing one coverage but one person, and that leads to a touchdown. But I thought after that they really locked in. Dak Prescott still threw the ball on third downs and was not able to convert in getting into the second half of this game. And so good job by the defense. They got to keep it up. And then on special teams, I know we signed Kadarius Toney, and this might be short-lived, but I thought Jalen Darden gave you a little bit of juice.
Yep.
To be honest, I thought he played well. I thought that he showed burst. He was confident. He had averaged 24.3 yards per kick return. He averaged 16.6 per punt return. He had a 28-yarder in this one that set up our first field goal. I thought he was very good as a punt returner, and so I was very pleased to see that. Hopkins made his field goal again from 50-plus. Bojorquez, mostly good, but unfortunately the one that wasn't good didn't have enough hang time on it. It was low, it was short, and that led to a punt return touchdown, which you cannot have. The good news is the Browns, because it is a loss, and in the fashion that it happened, it wasn't like that play was the reason, although it felt like that was a backbreaker at that point to go up 27-3. But in a competitive game, to have that be the difference between winning and losing would be catastrophic.
No question.
So you can't have that again.
No. Yeah.
So there it is.
After further review,
it's been reviewed.
I think in watching it back, I think defense can be they're more than fine. I mean, the circumstances were so tough.
Yes, they had multiple short fields, and they held the field goals.
Yeah.
I thought they were much better in terms of their red zone performance in this one.
Return touchdown makes it seem worse than it is.
Of course. I thought the defense played, like I said, the top. Defense played winning football. Offense did not. Offensive line was I think it's one of the roughest performances that we've seen. The amount of early pressures that were surrendered by the Browns was staggering in that one. That's got to get better. The quarterback's got to get better. The receivers have got to get better. The run game's got to get better. Really, everything on offense has got to get better than it was in this game against the Dallas Cowboys. And then special teams, you can't give up those kind of returns. Special teams got to be at least a neutral. You'd like it to be a positive, and quite frankly, it should be, but it's got to be at least a net neutral.
All right, we go around the league. Coming up next, you'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You're up.
And boost your game day this season with Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $50 or more. You get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. In terms of around the league, kind of most of the league is off. We talked a little bit earlier today about the Commanders releasing kicker Cade York after York missed the 2 field goals on Sunday. Also see news out of Pittsburgh that they're preparing for Justin Fields to start this week in Denver.
Do you think that is going to be the direction they go more long term?
Well, I think that it would not surprise me at all. I mean, I think that makes more sense.
Of course,
they're both
does.
1-year deals. One guy's old, one guy's young. Of course, there is a hard, concrete ceiling on how far you can go playing the way they played quarterback on Sunday. But their defense is so good, and Hayward and Watt are so disruptive
Yep.
that you can beat most teams you play doing just that. And most teams you play enough to get you to 10, 11 wins. You can't do anything in the postseason this way, and
Sure.
that's been the case with them since Ben was in his prime.
Sure.
But they can make the playoffs. They can continue with this group of being in the mix. They can make a run at the division. Like, all of those things make sense. And they didn't have Justin throw over the middle at all. Everything was to the perimeter.
Literally zero.
No, that's what I mean. Literally, quite literally, he did not throw to the middle of the field.
Yes.
But they gave him a lot of safe throws. They gave him some comeback throws deep on where he would roll left and throw back right, and he has the arm strength to be able to do that. And then they ran him. He had about 60 yards rushing, so he's a threat there. So you can win most of the games you play doing that way.
As long as he takes care of the football, which has been something that has plagued him a little bit. Look, you and I both thought Justin Fields was better than everybody else. And
I know.
Did not want him to go to the Steelers, and of course, that's exactly where he is now. We'll see. I mean, Mike Tomlin it had been very widely reported that Mike Tomlin had said to him that he is the starter, he being Russell Wilson. So it'll be interesting to see is Wilson's calf still a problem, or is that what they're saying? Or are they saying that Justin Fields is just the
Sounds
starter?
like it's still a problem, that they're still dealing with it.
So we heard it pushing a sled early in camp and then aggravated it before the game.
Yeah, heading into the game. Yeah. So that's where that stands. Kyle Shanahan, with this just recently, Christian McCaffrey would have played if it was a playoff game. So that information is out there too.
If I'm them, Jordan Mason showed me
plenty
everything that I need to see to be like, this is a calf muscle. We're a really good football team, and guess what? We're still a really good football team with Jordan Mason at running back. Let's go ahead and make sure that he is 110%. And by the way, I mean, I'll pull up their full schedule, but we know next week's the Vikings, so that's not a problem, right? Like,
yeah,
they should handle the Minnesota Vikings quite handily.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where they go after that. So the Niners
A
go.
little solace, I would say, to last night's fantasy owners,
including
that
me,
needed a Christian McCaffrey night.
Included me. I needed 12 points from him.
So
Yep.
Niners go at Vikings. They should be able to win that. At the Rams, tougher game, but again, Mason's plenty capable. And then home for the Patriots. So if they wanted to, and then home for the Cardinals. I mean, if they wanted to, they could keep him for a month and get him to be 100% ready to roll if they wanted to.
Yep.
Or maybe they only need this week, but it definitely feels like
no reason to rush
there's
him.
no reason to rush him given what Mason showed you. And man, he was incredibly impressive.
He really was. We go around the league, presented by Lee Filter, official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. Hello, Gibby.
A little fun for you. I'm trying to come up with a segment every week that talks a little college football with Uncle Bo.
Let's go.
This is 4 downs. Hit it, Kevin.
First down.
Ohio State needs to fix blank over this stupid week 3 bye.
It's schedule.
This is dumb.
This was supposed to be Washington, is who this was supposed to be. Once they landed USC and UCLA in the Big Ten, they bailed on the Washington schedule, and then Washington ends up being a Big Ten team in the long run, but they didn't want to make multiple trips out west, so that's how – this is the 1 year they've done this. They got – like next year the opener is Texas, so that's Arch Manning's first game as Texas quarterback is at Ohio Stadium on August 30th. That'll be an expensive ticket.
Oh,
They go Texas, then they go Bama, Bama, Georgia, Georgia. So this will be taken care of going forward. In terms of the roster, they're good. There's nothing to see here. They've got everything that you need. There are 3 teams, them, Texas, and Georgia. They've all separated.
We're good with the quarterback play?
Yeah, he was really good. He's really accurate. He missed one deep ball to Jeremiah Smith, and kind of I think the rule on Jeremiah Smith ought to be the old Randy Moss rule. Just throw it as far as you can, and you cannot overthrow him. And I think they'll start to do that because Will Howard, like this, as soon as he threw it, he's like, throw the ball. I mean, you can not overthrow that kid. He's that good. He's that
Next.
good.
Second down.
Fact or fiction.
Or fiction.
Whoa. Second down, fact or fiction. Texas is the best team in the SEC this week in the top 25, 6 of 7 teams. SEC. Only Ohio State.
No, I think Georgia is still. I think Texas is right behind them. I think Texas can beat Georgia, though, because of Ewers and because of Isaiah Bond. They have incredible skill position talent, and they're the only team I've seen in college football this year so far, 2 weeks in, that makes you defend every blade of grass. They throw it everywhere, over the middle, deep, sidelines, everywhere. Nobody else does that.
I'm going to tell you something. If you have not, yesterday, the Paul Feinbaum show, you find it on ESPN Radio. There's multiple ways to get the Paul Feinbaum show, but adding Texas fan to the lunatics that call that show every day is unparalleled now.
Well, they also have Oklahoma fan, so they have both of them.
I haven't even. Well, Oklahoma wasn't doing anything this week.
They're both in
Texas.
the mix.
Texas fan was just marching all over.
Yeah, they crushed it.
Yeah, they were irate. They're not number one. Yeah. Which I'm like, well, you're going to get your chance to prove it.
Don't worry, they played Georgia.
Yeah.
The bigger thing is 6 of the top 7 are SEC teams. Most of them all play each other. So how is the committee in a 12-team playoff going to view SEC teams with 2 and 3 losses? Because they're going to have 2 and 3 losses.
Yep.
That'll be the thing to watch for.
Next.
3rd down.
Even if Notre Dame wins out, they shouldn't make the college football playoff after that loss to Northern Illinois Saturday.
I know where you're going with it, but no. I think if they go 11-1, and it might take 11-1, and they can do it. They have to play Florida State. They got to play USC. That's about it. Everything else they'll be favored in. It was a big-time toe stubbing for Marcus Freeman. An inexplicable loss. Should never have happened. But if they go 11-1, they'll be okay.
I don't like Maction, great, ecstatic. Had BG beaten Penn State, I probably would have shown up to the game Sunday drunk still.
Dude, they were there.
They were there. I know.
They were right there.
But I get it, the Maction. I don't understand how you go to Texas A&M and win and then come back and you lay an enormous egg.
I'll tell you how. So NIU has a bunch of kids who have been together for a long time who are 21 and 22 years old, and they've been in a lot of battles, and Notre Dame's got young kids, transfer guys, freshmen on the line. They are kingmakers going down in State College. It's an afternoon game against a MAC team. Eventually we'll turn it on. By the way, if Riley Leonard, the transfer from Duke, doesn't just throw the most inexplicable interception of all time in the fourth quarter, they win. So –
I mean, and they got help from the refs.
Oh, my God. Ball. Notre Dame got all the help in the world from the refs. That was a ball don't lie made field goal for sure from Northern Illinois.
Next, fourth down. There you go, Kev. What Power 4 conference is the worst, ACC or Big 12? I like it. We're keeping Bishop on his toes.
I think the ACC's ceiling is a little higher. I think Clemson is going to be okay. They played a buzzsaw in Georgia. Miami's really good with the quarterback, and I think that the Big 12 might be better top to bottom, but the Big 12 does not have a single team that I could see in the college football playoff, even quarterfinal. Like, everybody looks one and done. Like, I could see Miami winning a round with Cam Ward at quarterback. I could see Clemson winning a round. There's no scenario where I see Oklahoma State, who needed all the breaks in the world to beat Arkansas at home, and Arkansas played about as dumb as you can play, to lose that game. I don't see them. I don't see K-State. Kansas lost to Illinois, for God's sakes. Like, you saw what happened to Colorado. Like, the Big 12's not a good league. Arizona may win it. Arizona plays Kansas State Friday night. That might be for the Big 12.
Let's go,
one
baby.
or two seats is that game. That's Friday night. It's Kansas State and Arizona. That might be the game of the year in the Big 12.
How's that wide receiver, Zagura?
He's good.
Oh, he's real good.
All right.
McMillan?
Yeah. No, they're good. They're good. All right. Very good. Coming up next, we'll do a little higher, lower. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You're up.
Be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster. The official waitlist for your Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM, the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/nextgenstm to reserve your spot today. Time for a little higher or lower. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen.
All right.
Busy day, but a good day.
All right.
We turn the page, which is always a good thing.
On to week one.
On to week one. Great. This is from The Athletic.
Okay.
Compliments of our friend Gabe, who found this.
Okay.
I've tasked him each week with finding the best higher or lower. This is a different one.
I like it.
The G-Man delivering. I like it.
This is the Athletic Season Projection Model. It predicts every team in the NFL's playoff chances following their week one games. Maybe not the greatest for us, but again, it's one game. We have 17 weeks left. From The Athletic, these projections are based on 100,000 simulations of the remainder of the season. Who took the time to do that?
Jeez.
Well, it's a computer. I imagine it happens very quickly.
Spits it out, yeah.
Which factors in each team's projected strength, current health, as well as its remaining schedule. All projections and probabilities are rounded to the nearest whole number.
Wonderful.
So basically, first up, the Browns, according to them, after week one, down to a 15% chance to make the playoffs, and they're projected to have a 7-10 record. Garbage, just so we're clear.
Look,
Austin Mock and the Athletic staff.
We talked about this yesterday. We've talked about this in the lead up to the season. If there is something to, and it can be argued that there is or isn't, if there is something to the nobody believes in us, nobody wants us, all of that, this team has it in spades. No one's believed in this operation in the lead up to the season. To be fair, we didn't give them much reason to feel otherwise in week one. But this is just more of that. 7-10, good Lord. That ain't it. But also, like, I get how people are in this spot. I'm not, but I understand how people are.
Week one was ugly. And so there's always a natural overreaction to that.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're seeing here. This team comes back and they win in Jacksonville. Then you're set up to be 3-1, 4-1, and right back in the mix. If you do not, things are going to become much more difficult. But you really losing the Cowboys game was unfortunate that you lost a home game, but it was an NFC game, wasn't even an AFC game. So for the playoffs, it's really not as big of a loss as if the Browns had beaten the Cowboys and lost to the Jags, they'd be the same 1-1. If they beat the Jags, lose the Cowboys. But for the playoffs, it's actually that would be a better scenario in the AFC.
Next.
Higher or lower?
So the Chiefs were number one on this list, 94% to make the playoffs, 83% to win the division, 15% to win the Super Bowl. The 49ers actually had the highest Super Bowl win percentage after week one at 16%, so ahead by 1%. But to win their division was only 72%. The Eagles were third at 86% to make the playoffs. The Cowboys fourth at 83%. The Lions 82% fifth. That takes us to number 6 and a steep drop. The Ratbirds, Baltimore 72%, 47% to win the division. Projected record for them 10-7. Higher, lower, just right. Segura.
Like I said, I don't think that they're one of the truly elite teams in the league, but are they dangerous? Absolutely. Do I think that they are going to go make the playoffs? I still think that they're right there. Yeah, it feels about just right. I'd probably think they're probably 66% to make the playoffs, 2 out of 3, more likely than not. But it's fine. 10-7. 10-7 feels about right to me.
I'll tell you what is most a thing to me about everything you just said is you said that the most likely record, what'd you say, was 10-7 was their most likely record. So, but that's also they also have what, a 47% chance to win the division. Like,
yes.
So do you think 10-7 wins this division?
Maybe.
I'd sign up for that.
The other thing that jumps out to me is you did Chiefs 1 and then you had 4 NFC teams before you got to another AFC team. So some of that is the strength of the AFC in that there's a bunch of really good teams in it, and some of it is how top-loaded the NFC got, and I think even more so by the injury with Green Bay.
Yeah, with Love.
Like that impacts that, certainly.
Yeah, drop them down to 21st.
Right.
Yeah. Next.
Higher or lower?
So the Dolphins were number 7. The Texans number 8. Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9 were the Bills. 10 are the New York Football Jets. Not 9. I apologize for the mistype. 10 are the New York Football Jets. 61% to make the playoffs. 27% to win the division. 4% to win the Super Bowl. The Bills still have a higher percentage to win the division than the Jets. Zagura, are you buying that? Higher, lower, or just right?
I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they could still win that division. You saw them play one of the best teams in the NFL and a team that absolutely punishes their opponents and makes them not look good often.
Yeah.
I want to see them in a non-game, a game not against the 49ers, but I feel pretty confident that they're going to be a very, very good team.
So they had the Dolphins at 10-7, the Bills at 10-7, and the Jets at 9-8. And the Jets' playoff percentage only 61%.
What do they have the Chiefs? Like 13-4?
12-5.
So they just have parity
a log
in the
jam
AFC.
in the
just
AFC.
Everybody.
Yep.
12-5 runs away that everybody else is 10-7. Of these teams, I think the Bills slightly over the Jets is just because the Bills went 1-0 and the Jets are 0-1. That's probably the difference in that small margin there. All three of these teams, though, in the AFC East, and I have the Bills not making the playoffs, and the Dolphins and the Jets making the playoffs. And Josh Allen's superhero performance on Sunday made me question leaving them out because he was a single-handed force of nature. But I still feel very good about Miami won. I mean, truly, guys, with their C-plus game, they left a lot of points on the field. At one point, like Tua overthrew Tyreek on a go. Like he just overthrew it, which is I've never seen anybody overthrow Tyreek. So Miami looked the best of the three. I still think the Jets are right there, and I think the Bills are right there.
Yep.
Miami, to me, I have them just behind Kansas City. AFC Power Poll Week 1, I'd have Miami too.
Zagura?
That's interesting. I still very much believe in the Jets and think they will win the division. I think they match up very well with Miami, given their ability to rush the passer and then Sauce Gardner and Reed on the back end to cover the receivers. Let's be clear about it. Josh Allen turned in a Herculean performance to beat the Arizona Cardinals at home. So is that going to be enough to beat Miami or the Jets or any of the other good teams in the AFC? Not consistently, I don't believe. I don't think he has the full complement that he needs around him, which is unfortunate. Feels in some ways like their first build window. I feel like you always have an opportunity to open up another window, but their first build window with him is kind of closed.
They are on to the build where the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls. They're at that part of their rebuild. And they're not going to win the Super Bowl.
No.
So they, in a way, like, because obviously we could have taken Josh. I don't know if Josh is what he is, if he's here with
Me neither.
all of the things that happened. Who knows?
At that time,
he had great stability. Yeah, I mean, that's Hugh into Freddie into all that. So I do think that, like, he landed in the right place, but also, like, their inability to do things around him and their failures in the draft to get him weapons who could step in for the guys who they let walk. Like, I'm with you. I think their Super Bowl window, their first Super Bowl window is closed, and now that's just a matter of how good can we be as we build into the second window. But Allen is a stud. And not that anybody doesn't already know that, but he was unbelievable on Sunday.
Yeah.
I know that the Ravens have a lot more around Lamar than the Bills have around Josh Allen, but I'm not sure either quarterback can sustain this for 17 weeks.
Lamar cannot run for 122 yards every week, I'll tell you that.
Josh Allen is physically built to withstand a little bit more punishment, I would say, than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, but now the tape's out. Like, he can't put this Herculean effort out week in and week out to save them. At some point, that comes back and bites you.
Yes.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Seahawks at 11, 12, the Bengals. 51% to win the division, even after losing to the Patriots. 51% to make the playoffs. 25% to win the division. 3% to win the Super Bowl. Projected record 9-8. Higher, lower, or just right? Zagura. I know it's a weird higher or lower. I just thought it was a fascinating.
No, you're
Something
good.
feels off to me. I think say 51% feels low because they still are the Bengals and it is Joe Burrow. But something right now feels off to me, and it's felt that way not even just now, really the whole offseason.
Mm-hmm.
They've kind of had problems, not good vibes down there, and everything like that. So it's hopefully, I don't mind that. I'm here. This is Cleveland Browns Daily. I think intellectually it feels like they would have a higher or a better chance to make the playoffs. This is one where higher lower actually works, by the way, because is it a higher chance
higher
than 51%? 51%
This is actually the most appropriate.
This is the best higher or lower we've ever had. I don't even need to say better. Yeah, they have a higher chance, I think, to make the playoffs than 51%.
I agree. I think they're higher too. They have. I don't think Zach Taylor's ever won an opener there. I think he's like 0-5 in openers in Cincinnati.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they struggle out of the gates every single year. It's brutal.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Somehow the Squealers are in the top 15 here, tied for 13th. 48% to make the playoffs, 23% to win the division, 2% to win the Super Bowl, 9-8 under Mike Tomlin after week 1. Bishop, higher or lower? Just right.
Well, I mean, 9-8. It might not be much higher than that, but they're a lock to go 9-8.
I mean,
that's all they do.
That's all they do.
Is go 9-8, 10-7. Like, let me just pull up their schedule just to see.
I mean, they have an amazing defense.
They're going to be 2-0.
All right, so they've got at Broncos, so they go to 2-0. Then Chargers at home.
3-0.
Coin flip. At Colts.
Coin flip.
Coin flip. Dallas at home.
Probably a loss.
At Raiders. Should be a dub.
Yep.
Jets at home. Giants
Loss.
at home.
Win.
Commies at home.
Win.
Ravens at home.
Loss.
At us.
Loss.
At Bengals.
Loss.
Us at home.
Loss.
At Eagles.
Loss.
At Ravens.
Loss.
Chiefs at home.
Loss. Oh,
Bengals
man.
at home. The last 8 is a murderer's row.
We have 6. They have 8.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah,
That's
they have a
crazy.
lower
1, 2,
chance
3,
to make the playoffs.
4, 5, 6, 7.
That's 8 games in a row.
It's 8 straight.
They need to
bangers.
be like 6-3 going into those 8 because they could easily.
Well, they can be. I mean, we got them. They could easily be 4-0 because it's Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Colts. They could easily be 4-0.
Could easily be 2-2.
They could be. Yep. But it's
so let's say they split those. So 3-1.
Colts at Colts. That feels like 4-1.
Isn't that the 4th game?
Oh yeah. Cowboys at home. All right.
Loss.
At Raiders.
Win. 4-2.
Jets at home.
Loss.
L. Giants at home.
Win.
At Commies. Win. Feels like win.
6-3.
So 6-3.
That's where they need to be.
That's where they need to be.
If they do that, they can go 3-5.
Yeah.
That gets them
that
to
back
8-7.
end is
Next.
9-8.
Higher or lower?
I just want to touch on these two teams. The Packers, obviously, after their loss, now a 33% chance to make the playoffs, 8-9. Their projected record, 33% to make the playoffs, 12% to win the division. Those are good odds. The Patriots, 20% chance to make the playoffs, 7-10. They're projected. They have Carolina's last, and rightfully so. The Broncos are second, are 31. The Giants are 30th. The Panthers.
Hold on a second.
the Panthers aren't winning.
Hold on a second.
Did you see the projected record?
Well, somebody
find me 5 wins.
Hold on. We are look at number 24. That team's given a better chance to make the playoffs than the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, you're
right
right.
now after one game.
After one game,
that's a little bit of an overreaction.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
It's a little bit of an overreaction.
Yeah. Yep.
I just want to know where they think the Panthers are getting 5 wins.
I don't either.
They're not Packers.
By the way, I told you guys out there on your Bally Bets apps, Packers, there's value in that right now. They'll
Yeah.
stay afloat.
It depends on
They're really well coached. They
how
will
long
stay afloat.
he's out. Yeah, they will stay afloat.
Let me pull this up. I'm going to pull up Green Bay to see
All
what
right,
they got to
so
get through.
while you do that, I'm
I
going to
got
go
it.
through.
Their next one's easier.
So they go Colts at home, at Titans, Vikings at home, at Rams, Cardinals at home, Texans.
They can totally get it right.
I mean, they could go two. If he's out 4 weeks, then you're talking like at Rams on October 6th for Love to come back. And if they can be 1-3, they'll be okay.
Right.
Win a game.
By the way, the CBS announcers, we touched on it earlier for this week. The A Crew, Nance, Romo, Wolfson, Bengals, Chiefs. The second team, Eagle, Davis, Washburn, Jets, Titans. Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins get the 49ers and Vikings, which is just weird that game's on
That's a
CBS.
game, yeah.
Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, A.J. Ross, Ravens, Raiders. McCarthy, Feely, and Balionis get Chargers, Panthers. Gross. And Spiro, Archuleta, and Aditi, Squealers, Broncos.
So where's Nance Romo, did you say?
Bengals, Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way,
What's Brady getting? Is he getting Saints Cowboys in
That's-
week
I was
2?
just looking.
I bet he is. Yeah, in the Fox early window, there's nothing else that he would be, unless he just wants to be in Arizona and do Rams cards.
Saints, Cowboys.
Yeah, I thought so. Take the Cowboys.
they are. In fact, they have the Cowboys the first 3 weeks of the season.
So
Tom
that-
Rinaldi told me that. They have the Cowboys
That
the
answers
first
our
3 weeks
question
season.
about are they still America's team from the network perspective? They are.
Yes.
They are.
They are.
Yeah,
Definitively.
that reminds me of Nance getting the Jets for 4 of the first 5 weeks last year after Rodgers went down.
They're not crazy games either.
No.
The third one's Ravens Cowboys in Dallas.
Which
That's
is awesome,
that's an
yeah.
awesome game. But this one, didn't you say it's Carolina
Saints.
or the
Saints.
Saints
Saints.
Cowboys? Coming off of a big win. Can I just say real quickly, pregame got to spend a good deal of time with Tom Rinaldi. He is a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He's great.
We had him on pregame, and he was dropping Fat Joe lines.
Was he really?
It was maybe one
He's
of the best
great.
pregame
Like,
interviews.
It really was. I had a wonderful time talking
He's
to him.
probably the best reporter that they've ever had at ESPN in terms of telling feature stories.
By the way,
Yeah.
CBD listener when he's doing our games.
No, that's nice. Appreciate that. No, he's spectacular.
Yeah,
Great.
he's like it's like your hatred. He even said it on our pregame. He goes, "It's like your hatred of Joe Buck here in town. Whenever Joe comes to town, whenever I come to a town, people are like, oh God, who died? What happened? What kind of gruesome story is Rinaldi going to tell?" And that's what he said. He had
did that.
everybody rolling in the booth.
He probably did that for 15 years on game day.
Yeah.
That was what he did at ESPN, was tell the heartfelt story. All right. That's a fun one. Good job out of you, the G-Man, on that. Final, so much more to come. Coming up next, Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Further proof that, and we don't have all the National Football League numbers from the kickoff weekend, which I'm sure will be astronomical. College football week 2 up 148% year to year.
Wow. The NFL numbers are going to be
football.
monstrous.
Football.
I've heard the number 24 million for us.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
24 million. Football. By the way,
if you're someone going, I don't know what to talk about about football, and you'll win. Go ahead.
Over-under start next week. Start with this Jacksonville game.
Starts next. Well, you guys are even, Steven, right?
No, because I forced myself to take the one difference, but I'm pretty sure we were 0 for everything else.
30.
He's 1-1. You're 0 for 5.
A flat donut.
Starts this week.
Yeah, starts this week.
All right, next level is next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Runs Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.